They say, know thyself. But what if most of us don't? Like, not really. We think we do because we've got labels. I'm an introvert, I'm anxious, I love deep convos, or I avoid conflict. But honestly, that stuff is often just what we've told ourselves enough times to believe. It's familiar, not necessarily true. So today I want to talk about why really knowing yourself is a lot harder than it seems, and how psychology gives us some clues. Let's start with this: the illusion of self-knowledge. We think we know who we are, our thoughts, our feelings, our decisions, but most of what's actually going on, we don't even see it. Our brain is filtering constant information, thousands of signals every second, but only a small fraction actually reaches our conscious awareness. The rest gets processed automatically. That's where cognitive blind spots come in. We react, make a decision, and then we explain it to ourselves like we made a logical, conscious choice. But really, the decision already happened beneath the surface. And here's something wild. Studies have shown that our brains often make decisions seconds before we consciously realize it. Our conscious mind is often just the narrator, not the decision maker. It gets trickier. Our brains don't just miss things, they protect us from stuff we're not ready to deal with. Defense mechanisms like denial, repression, and projection sound like big clinical terms, but we all use them constantly. Say I'm always feeling judged by others. Instead of realizing I'm feeling insecure, I might convince myself that they're all just shallow. That's projection, blaming others for what's really happening inside me. We do this without even realizing it. And over time, these little mental tricks shape how we see ourselves. They create blind spots, so we avoid pain, but also truth. Repression, for example, hides painful memories or thoughts from conscious awareness. And denial lets us pretend things aren't happening at all. These defenses can help us cope short-term, but long-term, they keep us disconnected from our real emotional life. Now add social conditioning to the mix. From the moment we're born, we start adjusting to get love, safety, approval. If crying made my parents uncomfortable, maybe I learned to stay quiet. If being the good kid got me attention, maybe I built my identity around being helpful. Psychologist Donald Winnicott called this the false self, the version of us that performs to survive or fit in. The problem is, over time, that role becomes automatic. We forget it's a performance, and we confuse it with who we really are. And that's not just childhood stuff. It continues in school, in relationships, even in work culture. We start performing instead of being. Let's talk about the story we tell about ourselves. I've always been like this. I'm the logical one. I'm not creative. These beliefs are part of our narrative self. But here's the kicker. Memory isn't a perfect recording. It's more like a Google Doc, constantly edited. Every time we remember something, we reshape it slightly based on how we feel now. So our identity, it's not fixed. It's being rewritten all the time. That doesn't mean it's fake. It just means we should take our self-stories with a grain of curiosity. Because sometimes the story is based on who we had to be, not who we actually are. Freud, Jung, and a lot of modern psychologists agree on this. A huge part of us is unconscious. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." There are parts of us that carry memories, beliefs, emotions, and they act on our behalf without us even realizing it. Therapy models like internal family systems talk about parts, like the inner critic, the perfectionist, the protector, or the scared child. They all want to help in their own way. But sometimes they clash. And when we're not aware of them, we just feel stuck or confused without knowing why. Learning to identify and listen to these parts isn't always easy, but it's powerful. Because once you see them, you can work with them instead of being run by them. So, do I know myself? Not fully, but I'm starting to pay more attention. And honestly, that's the real work. It's not about having a perfect label or a super clear identity. It's about being curious, asking better questions, being willing to admit that maybe I don't have all the answers. Because the more I understand how little I consciously control, the more patient I become with myself. And here's the paradox. The moment you realize you don't fully know yourself is the moment you start actually discovering who you are. This is DepthOS. Thanks for watching.